She's trying.
No, I'll try it now.
Trustee Andrade Zuniga. Okay, is present. Trustee Land,
Present.
trustee Lees Dwyer,
Present.
okay, it's trustee Hanley,
Yes.
and I'm here as all board members are present. I'm going to ask the superintendent to lead the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everybody, this evening. We have our Spanish interpreter this evening, Mr. Montaldo. For those who would like to attend the meeting in Spanish, that option is available. Mr. Montaldo, if you can, please communicate that when we open the interpreter room. Por favor.
Yes, no
I
problem.
don't hear a thing.
Yeah, we don't hear him.
Buenas tardes.
Yeah.
Si ustedes me están escuchando es porque están asistiendo a la reunión del directorio del Distrito Escolar Unificado de San Mateo.
Yeah, we can't hear him.
Este es el canal de español a través del cual podrán escuchar las diferentes presentaciones de hoy. Gracias.
We're working out a few things here. Okay, we're still working on a few things here. I don't know if, Julia, can you hear me talking?
I can hear you.
Perfect, we're
All
good.
right, good. Thank you.
Mr. Montaldo, would you make that announcement again? We could not hear in the office, and so we corrected the technical difficulty. If you would, please.
Absolutely. Buenas tardes. Si ustedes me están escuchando es porque están asistiendo a la reunión del directorio del Distrito Escolar Unificado de San Mateo. Este es el canal de español a través del cual podrán escuchar las diferentes presentaciones de hoy. Gracias.
Okay, gracias. Okay, in closed session, the board, upon the motion of trustee Land and seconded by trustee Andrade Zuniga, moved to approve 2 special education settlements with a vote of 5-0. Tonight, we will honor 2 former employees and community members who passed away recently with a moment of silence. Judith Puccini passed away on July 22nd. She leaves behind a legacy of loving family, friends, and community partners. Judith served as the administrative assistant at Cappuccino High for many years. Her children graduated as Mustangs. She was serving as the vice president of the school's alumni association at the time of her passing. Judith took on endless tasks to improve our school community along with the greater city of San Bruno. Just a few weeks before her passing, she volunteered at a vaccine clinic at Cappuccino to help get our students vaccinated. Principal Jesse Boyce said of Judith had so much grit. She was a warrior. I know that I will work harder because of her. She was so dedicated and cared so much about this school. In my last conversation with her, I expressed that we wouldn't let her down, promising the young people of San Bruno the best education possible. Her work will live on through all of us. We have all been blessed by Judith's relentless love and dedication to Cappuccino. Okay, Britt Williams, he was the head coach of the Aragon football team from 1979 to 1999 and was a teacher on the campus. He passed away on August 2nd. During his 21 seasons on the Aragon sideline, Williams compiled a record of 156, 65, and 5, leading the Dons to 6 league titles, 2 Central Coast section crowns, he was known for turning young men into adults. Aragon's athletic director, Steve Sell, recapped a statement from former player Marty Leahy. States, Coach Williams brought an aura of toughness and pride to the Aragon football team. Sell states, as tough as he was, he treated his players with kindness and respect. Many of us who played and are coached with him are better husbands and fathers because of the modeling he provided us. Now I will ask you to join me in a moment of silence to honor Judith and Britt Williams. Thank you. This is a public meeting of the San Mateo Union High School District Board of Trustees. If you wish to make a comment about an agenda item or during the public comment section at the beginning of the agenda, please send an email to comments, COMMENTS at SMUHSD.org. That's comments at SMUHSD.org with your name, email address, and your Zoom name if different, and the item under which you would like to comment. The board president will call on you. Please note that comments are limited to 3 minutes. The board president may increase or decrease the time allowed for public presentations depending on the topic and number of people wishing to be heard. Well, you know, at the rate I'm going, it's gonna be a long meeting with this mask. Forgive me, people. Do we have any public, do we have no communications? Do we have any public comments?
We do. We have one person who wishes to speak under public comment, Alexander Guess, and he has been promoted already.
Good evening. Please begin.
Sorry, right now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Just 1 second. Okay. Dear Honorable Board, I would like to thank you for your time. My name is Alexander Guess, and I am a senior at Aragon High School. I understand that my time is short, and so is yours, so I'll try to keep these comments relatively short. I'd like to bring attention to the subject of alternative credits towards graduation, chiefly supplicant credits derived from our local community college district, SMCCD. And to this end, the board has already made immense progress to this, and I believe it's very beneficial to our students. Community college courses being included as a grade bump for one is simply spectacular. However, I'd like to advocate that we push even farther in this direction. Over the course of this previous spring semester and over the summer, I met on many occasions with Mr. Simmons and Mrs. Kemsky, the curriculum board, who I am very grateful for. Hopefully their comments have turned my starry-eyed suggestions into something a little bit more pragmatic. Many students within our district, however, are not the very least disenchanted with AP. It's a source of frustration for many of my peers and myself to have our curriculum dominated by a totalitarian AP apparatus, and simply College Board as a whole. Our teachers, who work incredibly hard, are forced into a system outside of their control, forced to teach a curriculum that one has to wonder how it's relevant to anyone's education. Hence, despite logistical challenges and, say, threats of teacher employment status or security, it should not be the direct objective of our district to bar students from community colleges while streamlining AP and College Board. Because no matter how you slice it, giving students the option between the two inherently improves their quality of education. It's sort of consumers in a free market, if you will. By giving them the choice between AP and a community college course, it suddenly means that the quality of both is going to go up. Now, from my research and knowledge on the subject on California's code and the district policies, I don't want to propose anything too radical or out there. As a student of the education system, well, my suggestions within the apparatus are as follows. I'd like to see, say, an increased graduation credits of coursework that students may take. And given district requirements that are much stricter than the state requirements, use some of that excess, I want to say almost excess fat, as a mode of freedom for the district to pursue. Say that third year of math, instead of a student being forced to take BC Calculus, giving them the option to, say, take Calculus 1 and Calculus 2 at a local community college. Now, It's a little bit nuanced, and this may not be the right time, but say, maybe we could also even fund, say, needy students' ability to attend SMCCD. The 11 free units are exhausted incredibly quickly. I've probably spent $700 on this semester alone on college classes. It's a barrier to entry that we can all resolve. And with that, my suggestions end. And I thank you for your time and consideration. And hopefully my work with the curriculum board prior to this will allow for a faster discussion on it and maybe an entertaining and passing of the proposal down the road. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your comments. Okay, does the board have any comments?
I have some comments.
Trustee Hanley?
Well, I thank the speaker for tonight. As people have heard in the past, I'm very much in favor of promoting more college classes for our students. And I would certainly welcome some more discussion about how we could do that. So at future board meetings, that would certainly be something I'd be open to having some more discussion about. I was very pleased that the governor mandated that education staff get vaccinated or tested. I would like to see us, if we could move up the deadline. I think it's extremely important that students are surrounded by staff that is vaccinated, or at least we're assuring them that they're COVID free. So I'd like to see if we could look at, I think the governor's deadline was in October. I'd like to see if we could move that deadline up sooner. I think it's imperative that we get people vaccinated. I certainly encourage students to get vaccinated. The Delta virus is really a vicious contagion, and it is really hunting down people who are unvaccinated and infecting people. The people in the county that are being infected are heavily in the unvaccinated population. And so I encourage, again, our students who are unvaccinated, please get vaccinated, protect yourself, protect others in the community. And any of our staff, teachers or classified, please get vaccinated as soon as you possibly can. I think this is imperative that our students are surrounded by people that we know are protected from COVID and from this Delta surge that everybody is experiencing around the country. Thank you.
Thank you. And this is in no particular order from top to bottom, because I didn't see whose hand went up first. Trustee Andrade Zuniga.
Thank you. I just wanted to acknowledge that we are on the traditional indigenous land of the Ramaytush Ohlone people, and I wanted to acknowledge that. Secondly, I just wanted to welcome everybody back to a new school year. I know there's been a lot of excitement, and just listening to different people that I know talk about it, it's exciting. So I'm glad that we're off to a new start. But I do agree with Trustee Hanley. Please get vaccinated. I am also very happy that not only health professionals, but also our educational professionals and administrators and just everybody, I just think everyone should be vaccinated. So also students, please, and parents, I implore you to please allow your students to get vaccinated. Trustee Hanley is right. This variant is really dangerous. And our students, especially 12 and younger, are not vaccinated and cannot be vaccinated. So we have to do what we can to protect our communities, because we're all one community. So thank you. And I also wanted to say that I'm going to start taking comments from people, or like discussions if you want to have with me on Saturdays from 1 to 3. You can go to my page on Facebook or Instagram and see and contact me or even email me for some times if you'd like to talk with me. And I think, if anybody needs any accommodations, whether it be translating documents or any sort of closed captioning or ASL interpretation for our meetings, please let us know that is available. And I also wanted to thank and acknowledge our interpreter. He does a great job, and I'm glad that we have that accessibility in our district. So here's to a great new year. Thank you.
Trustee Land.
Hi. So I just want to welcome everyone back. I'm really thankful to our staff, our teachers for all the preparation, our administration. It's great to have people start, and welcome back to this new school year. As you can see, I'm one of the members being on the board because in present, and I think it's important, both what Mr. Hanley said and what Ms. Zuniga said about vaccination and mask wearing and keeping up with the protocols and the safety. I think it's great that we're back, but we have to remember to be safe, wear our masks, and do what we need to do so that we can be present. And I just want to say thank you again to all the teachers and staff to making this happen, that we can come back into this new normal. Yes, we have to be careful about the variant, but again, keeping our safe, vaccinations, wearing masks, let's protect ourselves. Thank you.
Trustees Lees Dwyer.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. First, I'd like to acknowledge the remarks made by Dr. Guess. And I'm saying Dr. Guess because there's going to come a time in a few years when he will be Dr. Guess. And I really believe that we are not a one-size-fits-all district, and I feel very proud of that. And I think that his ideas and his passion toward enhancing education and offering more opportunities is something we really should take a hard look at. I think it's being looked at, but we can always do more. I know Middle College definitely provides additional community college coursework for people, but there may be a way to enhance that and on a part-time basis for students who want to participate not fully in that program and stay in their schools. So I really appreciate his comments. The other thing I wanted to say is about Judy Puccini, actually. When Bob mentioned the coach at Aragon and how he was a role model for young men as a football coach, and I had read that in the newspaper too, and I was really touched by that because I think that everything teachers, coaches, staff, everything people do, how they interact with students, how they treat them, how they mentor them, how they teach them is so important. And to recognize him for those characteristics as a role model for young men is very, very important. And I think Judy Puccini was a role model for young women in the same way. She was, I hate to even say the word was on her. I'm always hoping she's going to appear somewhere or she'd be on this call tonight. But and I wrote down a few terms that would describe her. She's strong, she's smart, she's determined, she's thoughtful, she's caring. She will share her opinion in a way that expresses what she thinks while listening to yours and considering everything. She was never stuck in any one place on any issue. And she was fun. I mean, she made, even when she made comments that we were like, oh my goodness, where is she coming from? She was fun. She made it enjoyable for us to listen to her and take in what she had to say, because she really spoke from her heart and she was representing so many people when she used her voice in that way. But I think one of the more important things in her about her is that she was kind. And I think she was a very kind person to everyone. And I think that alone makes her a good role model for women and everyone. Thank you.
Okay, I got I'll try to make it a quick comment. On Monday morning, there was a professional development with the anti-racism training. And somehow I ended up on the front end of that, and which was good. I did enjoy the event. I saw it was a sort of not looking forward to starting off on the top. But the thing that I think there was a couple of really powerful moments, and one of them was the San Mateo High School student, and I had totally lost track. I think her name is Diameta, and you know, it's been a long time, but I had always gone to the Martin Luther King essay contest. And the last one before the pandemic, it was always around the MLK holiday. I think that was when I heard a speech from her. And then we totally went into this total lockdown thing. And she came on with so much energy that you couldn't help but feel invigorated and very optimistic about the youth, you know, and the hope that we have in our youth. And believe me, and I'm, you know, I get up, I've got a fair amount of energy. After I heard her, I felt like a speed bump. I'm like, man, we need to get out the way and open up the throttle, you know, let the youth fix it. So it was quite enjoyable. The other thing I enjoyed about that was the chat and seeing and getting feedback from the, you know, the staff, from everybody, you know, and you could just tell some of them had their comments, you know, they had insight. They were just glad to see people. You could feel the enthusiasm of just getting back together, even if it was a virtual get together. But I think, and listening and being part of it, I thought it was time well spent, at least on my part. So anyway, we'll move on. Consent agenda. Do we have a motion, or does anybody wish to? Yes, ma'am.
I have a question on J11, which is the transportation contract for special ed.
Okay, we're going to pull J11. Anybody else wish to pull something? Okay. Do we want to ask the question? And
I'm
then
fine with that.
Oh, go ahead.
ask.
Okay. I when I read the contract, I noted that it renews on its own. And if you don't give them 30 days notice, it renews. And it also has a 3% increase that's added to it automatically. There's two questions actually. One, I'm not familiar that we've ever entered into that kind of contract where we have an automatic renewal and automatic fee increase of any sort. And this is 3%. So the contract was signed, I think, by Holly Wade back in July. So, and I know they're apparently providing services now. So I guess I'm a little concerned about that. The other question I have, is this a new organization to us, or is this a renewal of an ongoing contract with a known organization we've worked with before? So those are my two questions. Hi, Charlie.
Dr. Skelly, would you like me to?
Yes, please.
Okay. So Adroit is a company that we have used for many years around transporting our special ed students, but Trustee Lees Dwyer is correct. It's coming to us in a little bit different of a manner, because we usually bring it as a under $25,000 contract or an over $25,000 contract, student by student. And that wasn't very efficient in terms of, you know, when we got a new student and we had to put them in this transportation, the special ed department wanted to, you know, bring this as a separate item to identify it, that, you know, we use it as needed. A lot of times when, you know, we bring in a new student or there's a very specific route, you know, to a non-public school, maybe out of the county. And so, but no, it is not a new vendor, but how the special ed team wanted to bring it there is different this year. The contract does roll over, but the commitment in terms of this goes up and down based on our need in the special education department. And we only have to give a short notice for when we no longer need an individual route. So while the contract would go over to next year, the financial commitment would not continue. We still have the ability to shut down routes with a pretty short notice. I'd have to go look at the exact term, but it's I don't want to note exactly what it is because I need to look in the contract. But it is a short notice that we can cut any individual route that we're using.
I think it's a very good idea to put it all together. I think that makes a lot of good sense. I would keep my eyes on the 30 days, and of course, you're going to have to really audit them and look at performance and be happy with their work. Because if you don't, 30 days goes by and you have an automatic 3% increase to them. I've not been aware that we can do that. That you can have contracts that educational institutions can have on. Public entities can have contracts that roll with an automatic increase. That's new to me. And I could, maybe they can, but that's something I've not seen before. But I really think that putting it all together is a really good idea. So you might want to look at that at some point, whether that's something you should be doing, automatic rollovers.
Yeah, no, I will check in with county council on that. We have had other contracts that do that as well. So it'll be good on checking on a couple of those contracts going there.
Then I'm fine with it. Thank you, Bob.
Okay. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
I move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, trustees Lee, Dwyer with the motion, trustee Lamb with the second, trustee Andrade Zuniga, your vote, please.
I vote yes, but I wanted to clarify.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see your hand. You were up and I don't know if you had it up all the time.
I did.
Okay. Sorry.
I wanted to clarify, are the field trip approvals, are they part of the consent agenda?
Yes,
They are?
yes, they are.
Okay, I had some questions actually about that.
Okay.
I just wanted to know, I was reading through some of the documents that were attached to that, and I just wanted to know, how are the, I guess those specific programs, how do they recruit students to be part of it? And are the students that are part of the field trips already decided before the school year begins? I just had those questions.
Would it be okay if I refer you to Mr. Brian Simmons, who handles those, and perhaps you guys talk a little bit about some of the details? I don't know that we could answer those questions with enough specificity here. So,
Can I just ask a question? Since it's up on field trips, what if things in COVID situations get worse?
Yeah.
Is there a contingency
Yeah.
to back out?
yes, yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't want to, I just don't know the answers, trustees Zuniga.
The one thing I will add in the field trips, I think we have a requirement that nobody is ever denied because of funding, which I think is meant to increase the participation by people who may not have a lot of disposable income. But I'm not saying that. I think you probably can have a deeper conversation with the administration.
Yeah, that would be good.
Okay, so we have a motion, which I believe was Lee Dwyer and Land second. One of these days, everybody's going to get to see moving screens, hands jumping up and down, direction to the left of me, direction to the right of me. Anyway, the vote, trustee Andrade Zuniga, how do you vote again?
I'm going to abstain because I have some questions that I need answered. Thank you.
Okay, trustee Land.
Yes.
Trustees Lee Dwyer,
Yes.
trustee Hanley,
Yes,
and I'll vote yes. The vote is 4 yeas and 1 abstention. Okay, we're going to move on to K1, report of the superintendent.
Thank you, President Griffin. First, I'd like to say we're really pleased and proud that we can host the memorial service for Judy Pacini. It'll be 1 o'clock at Cappuccino High School. And I appreciate Mr. Boyes and the Cappuccino community, Cappuccino High School community, putting that event together. President Griffin mentioned the Monday anti-racist training. I thought it went really well. You know, when you get on Zoom, I don't know how you felt, Mr. Griffin, and there's 853 people there waiting on your every word. It's pretty stressful. But I think based on the chat, we did okay. And I think we were honest and heartfelt. And I appreciated your comments, both personal and then on behalf of the board, in terms of the priority that this work is for the leadership of the district. I also want to thank Julia Kempke. Dr. Kempke was the person who pushed this through, did all the background work. It was not an easy event. And then our technology folks, who a lot was dependent on that day. And I think it went through about as well as you could expect anything to. Tuesday and Wednesday, staff were getting ready for the year. There were lots of safety trainings and activities. And then today we jumped into it with both feet. And you're going to hear from each one of the principals here with a short 2-minute recap of the day. And so we're looking forward to that. I'll just make a couple of comments based on traveling the district here. And I don't take anybody's thunder, but we had every kid eat outside. We just felt like it was better to have kids outside. And it was a great energy out there. It was great to see so many kids. Now, it was crowded in some places, but it was really neat to have all the students on the quad during lunch. Super enjoyable. So before they talk, though, I want to introduce a new employee to us. Many of you already know him. That's Charlie Royce. He is the new general manager of facility use. He brings 32 years of business experience managing staff in diverse industries, and his expertise is broad and exceptional. He moved to the peninsula to manage the support for the Bay Area emergency medical service provider. He was the director of church administration for Central Peninsula Church in Foster City. He has 4 children, 2 grandchildren. 3 of his children attended San Mateo High School, where he was a super volunteer. And he enjoys musical theater and has sound designed a number of San Mateo High School productions. And was just a super Bearcat, now a super district employee. So Charlie, welcome. And you joined the team July 1st, but and you're already like a veteran here. So maybe you could just say a few words here.
Thank you.
Unmute. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Trustee Leeds-Dwyer.
I just want to make sure you weren't muted.
Okay. Yeah. No. Thank you very much, and I'm very excited to be a part of this wonderful team of educators. It's wonderful to start a new school year, and although I have volunteered a lot at San Mateo, my work as a substitute auditorium foreperson allowed me to visit all the schools, and I've had an opportunity to do work in all of them and enjoy every school. And I look forward to supporting each school further as the general manager of facility use. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so now we're going to have 2-minute reports from each of the school. We'll go alphabetical by school. So that means if we went alphabetical by last name, we'd still start with you, Valerie. So you go first.
The A's have it. Good evening, everyone. I am so excited to report. We had so many kids on campus today. It was pure joy. So I'm going to go backwards. So today we had our teachers were teaching, our kids were learning and engaged and masked and doing everything that we had asked them to do. So our day was full of joy, but we couldn't have gotten to today without the tremendous lift by our team. And I would love to list everyone, but they all know who they are. They were fantastic in making sure that that our students got oriented to the day. So last week on Thursday, we had a freshman orientation for all of our brand new students. And then on Friday, we did it again for all of our 10th grade students because they didn't have orientation last year, right? They had a drive-through pickup. So they needed to have tours. They needed to know what it felt like to be an Aragon student. And so that was amazing. And I can say that 90% of our freshmen attended that event and almost 90% of our sophomores attended that event. And that's more than we have ever had attend orientation. So kids were really excited to come and connect and see each other and participate in that way. And for that, serious shout outs to our activities director, Melissa Perino, and our link crew director, Courtney Caldwell, and then Jessica Frankel, who was helping with that. And then my entire administrative team on that. Last bit, all of our students have been issued Chromebooks if they wanted one. So they came in, they were able to open up and connect and learn how to use Canvas, learn how to get attached to their email today. And our words of the year, I think, are going to continue to hold us in good stead. So we're talking a lot at Aragon about the need to be flexible, the need for balance, and the need to find and highlight joy when and where we see it. So I will leave you with that 3-letter word. That's where we are. It was magnificent today to have kids on campus. Thank you.
Paul.
Good evening, President Griffin, trustees, Superintendent Skelly, and everyone tuning in this evening. I think you're going to probably hear some common themes. I don't know if it's just having worked so closely with Ms. Arbizu that we're on the same wavelength on a couple of things, or it's just something across our campus. The energy was pretty infectious. However, I'd like to share, before I kind of get into the first day, my own appreciation for Judy Pacini, who was incredibly helpful to me as I transitioned to this district in my first position at Cappuccino High School. Always protective, always kind, always caring for Cappuccino and the community of San Bruno. And I just am personally always indebted to her kindness and her looking out for me. As for opening for BHS, in ways it was both tremendously exciting and just a tad bit concerning, as today felt something like opening night of a music festival. As you are familiar, you've all walked our campus. It is lovely to walk through, but most of the campus lies in front of the school, and space in our courtyards was pretty tight during break and lunch. I will send you some pictures. I know Dr. Skelly was there and definitely enjoyed, I think, the moment with all of our students out at lunch. I think our students and staff were equally excited, mixed with what appeared to be a manageable level of anxiety around a number of issues. Is it safe to be back? Will everyone pull together and wear masks? What will it feel like in school again? Where are my classes and how do I open my locker? It was wonderful to finally engage and actually help students find their lockers and do those things that we all find comfort in every opening year. The excitement of being back together was palpable. Our students were conscientious about masking, and our teachers focused on icebreakers and community builders throughout the day. Today was a good day. Being so in the work the past year and a half, it has been difficult at times to kind of step back and really consider that half of our school is really coming to us for the first time. And our school, I think our community really see this as a unique opportunity to kind of start new, really mindful of creating a safe, supportive, and inclusive learning environment. During our PD, someone shared the analogy of returning to school after COVID as we've all experienced the same storm, just in different boats. And our campus, our students, our staff are all mindful of really meeting people kind of where we're at. As has been mentioned, the 2 PD days really gave us an opportunity to kind of connect as a community, really kind of review the district's vision and our role in creating anti-schools and a school of transformation. We spent some time discussing kind of the steps we've taken and really dug into the growth we need to make and the real direction we want to pursue this year. It was productive, insightful, and reflective 2 days. And I really appreciate our teacher leaderships for putting that together. And like any good music festival, opening night is really the culmination of tremendous amount of work, really behind the scenes. We've had 1,000 students participate in Panther Prep. Our 9th graders attended orientation. We're welcomed back by our leadership students. participated in a variety of activities that we could not have done without the great contributions of our students, our leaders, our activities director, Ms. Nicole Carter, and really our staff that supports that group. And just as the students provided the energy and electricity, our classified staff provided the muscle and backbone to set up the stage. As you are all aware, it's a tremendous amount of work in preparation for opening school for 1,500 kids, and our office staff and maintenance department deserve a tremendous amount of recognition in the successful opening. So as our superintendent likes to say, on we go. We hope to maintain a real focus on safety, inclusivity, and really positive joy. And today was a great step in that direction. Thank you so much.
Let's see, Jesse, you're next.
Good evening, members of the board. Dr. Skelly, thanks so much. I will just say that Judy is, I mean, it's devastating. She was an incredible person, and to her kids, Beth and Steve, and her dearest friend, Nancy Krause, we're with all of you. And I think that the board and the district are just so much better for having had her and known her. So we will miss you, Judy. As I was looking at my calendar, I realized that it has been 516 days since we had students on campus, and 516 days is far too long for kids to be learning in person. So as my colleague said, it was an absolutely wonderful day. Particularly for me, I began at CAP with our ninth graders who are now seniors. And so I got to walk around and see members of the class of 2022 who have aged, grown beards, grown taller, grown smarter. And it was really special. And meeting all of the 9th and 10th graders for the first time, it was an incredible opportunity to walk them around. They had done a tour the day before, but we have a big campus. And so there were lots of moments of joy. It was really important, as others have and will acknowledge that, this has been 2 weeks in the making at a minimum. At CAP, we had 9th and 10th grade team institutes with teachers, new teacher orientation, 9th, 10th grade registrations, orientations, welcome days, professional development. And I do want to shout out the school district office for offering the opportunity for both certificated and classified. It was an incredible moment to have our entire staff there collectively working on kind of reflections and anti-racist practices. It felt so important to be in it together. So, as Valerie said, too many names to name, but if you're out there at CAP and in San Bruno, thank you. It was a big lift. In terms of today, it was the best day getting to walk into classrooms, seeing the IB learner profile come to life, community building, kids reconnecting. There were icebreakers, but there were a lot of interactive tasks that were tied to content areas. Our math colleagues were doing great things with Venn diagrams and interests and the intersectionality of those. I saw our data science class doing visual representations to address the psychological components of data science. It was really fun. My favorite comment, and I'm going to read this. I'm in a 9th grade health class. Student says, "Is this class easy or hard?" Teacher responds, "Easy if you try hard." Student says, "Okay, great. I'll try hard," with a smile. It was just so simple, and it's what school should be. I'm particularly interested in monitoring attendance. We had about 95%, it looked like today, which was a great start. I know we'll keep counting that closely. And my final thought is just an appreciation for the school district office. We have an extra health aide, an extra campus supervisor. We do have some smaller class sizes in the 9th and 10th grade. So I want to appreciate that. I think we've really invested our resources in our students and the dollars as a result of COVID. And it really made today, I think, a personal and effective launch for students. And we'll be tired, but very excited about tomorrow and the weeks and months ahead. And I appreciate the board's comments around vaccinations. For us to keep doing this, our communities need to remain safe. And if you're listening and you go to a school in SMUHSD, or you are a CAP student, August 25th, if you're not vaccinated, I hope you'll come. And if you have questions, we'll be reaching out to you. Thank you very much.
Mr. Gilbert.
President Griffith, members of the board, thank you for the opportunity to talk to you about the first day. This is my start of my 22nd year at Hillsdale High School. And one of the things I've thought about sort of every year since I've started is this idea that learning is a social phenomenon. And that's straight from John Dewey. It has a lot of layers to it. But, in the last 18 months, we've really had to think about how relationships matter and the learning environment the students are in is inextricably bound to the learning that takes place. And so I just have thought a lot about the last 4 days in the light of the idea of learning as a social phenomenon, and just wanted to leave you with a few sort of snapshots. Think about last Tuesday with our staff on campus and meeting with teachers, classified staff, food service workers, administration, our facilities team, all meeting together, talking about how we were going to welcome our students back to campus. It was really a powerful and unfortunately unique moment for us, something we want to continue. Think about our PTSO on campus on Wednesday, feeding our staff, and our staff just out in the sunshine, eating together, breaking bread and reforming those relationships. I think about our 9th and 10th graders here, as the other principal said, in just huge numbers for orientation last week, and then over 250 seniors on our football field at 6 a.m. this morning to gather for the start of the year, to see the sunrise and begin this journey together. I think about our advisory classes starting the school year, classes walking around campus, doing activities together, enjoying each other's company, getting to know each other. So that idea of people in community together was, I think, the overarching theme. Have to thank our classified staff for getting everything ready. Sabrina and our leadership, students, our facilities team, just so much work went into this year and so much care to do it right and to be precise in the preparation. Today, as everybody said, is just a remarkable day, a joyful day, an exciting day. And the two words we kept hearing coming up to this day were nervousness and excitement. And for today, at least, excitement won out over nervousness. It was a pleasure to be on campus.
Let's see, Pam, you're next.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, Dr. Skelly. Welcome back from the Viking ship. We had an incredible first day at Mills. A shout out to all of the district staff who came out to visit our school and feel the energy. Mr. Scatena was out here visiting classrooms, Holly Wade, Dr. Kempke, and Brian Simmons, Ms. Chalkley, and Dr. Skelly. Thanks for coming out for the visit. This morning, our students were welcomed by a group of cheering staff and teachers as they entered our building at 8:00 a.m. We were donned with rally rags and gold and red pom-poms as we celebrated the return to in-person learning. And throughout the day, staff connected with students in a variety of ways, from helping with lockers, classroom locations, brunch and lunch. It was literally all hands on deck here. I was in nearly 40 classrooms today and saw teachers really focusing on connection, building those vital relationships with our students that we know are so important on day one, and really just being joyful with each other. And in tandem with our 2 days of professional development, where we really focused on the why of our work on the collective and individual level, I heard many teachers sharing with their students their why, who they were as high school students and how it shaped them and why they are here today teaching our young people. So, but there's no doubt that for many of us, something that went missing in March 22 came back to us today. And it feels good to have that peace back in our hearts. When I asked students this morning what they were looking forward to, here are some of the things they mentioned. Nicholas, a 10th grader, said he was looking forward to just getting used to all my teachers. He said he really hadn't been at Mills and was a little nervous, but was excited to be here today. Maya, a senior, said she just really wanted to see her friends mostly. Alyssa and Teresa said they were 9th graders. They were excited to meet new people, see their friends. And Ebenezer said he was excited about math and Algebra 1 and his teacher, Ms. Kovacs. And Ebenezer had spent 4 weeks with us in July at our Summer Bridge program, upping his math skills. And today, when he walked through the door, that was the thing he was most excited about. So we are thriving here at Mills, and here's to a great school year. Thank you.
Mr. Scatena.
Thank you, Dr. Skelly. So for middle college, it dawned on me yesterday, we met out on the amphitheater. There's about 180 students. We have 190 enrolled. Students knew that, these first 5 days are dedicated to orientation, building community, and really just trying to have fun. But there's a lot of core work getting them ready for college classes too, that will start on August 18th. And it dawned on me, they're sitting in the amphitheater. It's probably can hold about 1,000 people. And it looked like, I was like, geez, this looks pretty small. And then they got up, they started walking toward the buildings after our first couple hours orientation. And it's close to 200 students. And I still remember about 6 years ago when it was about 50 students at middle college. So the other thing that dawned on me is 180 of those students, they'd never been to CSM. And so they are all freshmen. They are all brand new to the college. And so there's a lot of work that goes into it. And our staff is putting that time into orienting them to the campus, college life. We have new space up there, new classrooms, orienting them to that space. The benefit of CSM being sort of closed to a degree is we get sort of the pick of the litter for classroom space and things of that nature for these orientations. So it's been great, but we have new facilities, we have new equipment, thanks to the district, new desks and things of that nature. The campus is slowly coming alive. The cafeteria will open when the campus opens next week. Really excited about that. Other things that we're excited about is we could promote that 90% of our students are fully vaccinated, and there's a clinic tomorrow. So the 16 students who remain, we hope that they take advantage of that. So we're promoting that, and it's really just been amazing experience. Thanks to our staff, but thanks to the food nutrition, with every student having the ability to eat. It has put a little bit of a burden on us actually getting that food up there to our students. So, because there's not a cafeteria for us to take advantage of that's open right now. So thanks to Dennis and his team on that. That's it for middle college. Thanks.
Okay, I think Ron, you're next.
All right, Board President Griffin, members of the board, I'm really excited to be back, no pun intended. I appreciate all your support. I know I've been out for a while with back injuries, so it's great to be back here tonight. And I can't thank you enough for everybody's encouragement and support. I wrote a text this morning to Dr. Skelly that said, if you build it, they will come, knowing that there's the game that's being played tonight for baseball that's outdoors at the old Field of Dreams. But honestly, it was amazing today. We had over 100 students show up. The campus was alive. The students were excited. We started off with an orientation with the parents and our new students, but a lot of the returning students came and hung out at the orientation because there was a curiosity. I think it's the first time I can ever recall after an orientation where you think at least 50% of your kids know where to go. None of our kids knew which classrooms to go to because it was a brand new campus. So we had to show every kid where to go, but they were super excited. There was talks by the end of the day of how can we build up student leadership and get more involved in the school. There was an appreciation of the new technology in the classrooms, which is just amazing. And I look forward to sharing, and hopefully you can all make it on September 2nd for our ribbon cutting ceremony. We're trying to build community, and it was great. Today we had over 75% of our students show up. And we did, one of our first activities was a luau. And so we did it at the end of the day, and students and staff broke bread together. And there was just a lot of positivity. And one of the things that kind of as my mentor, Don Scatena, taught me is that you got to get out there and you got to be personable. And so we got the kids and we had the staff going out there, greeting the kids, eating lunch with them. And it was great. And what was the most satisfying thing, and I really want to give a quick moment to thank Sarah Devaney as well as my fellow principals. I felt like we were really well prepared to answer the questions and meet the needs of the staff and the students. And the staff was just amazing in their preparation as far as the sanitation supplies and also just the comfortability of wearing masks in the classrooms and the students. It was everybody, there was a nice community, and the day really ended well in the sense that the bus for transportation is a little bit new this year, so it was a little late. And the students said, it's all right. We get a chance to talk to each other. We get a chance to build a relationship. So kids are excited about the new facilities, and we're just looking forward to a great year. Thank you.
Yvonne, you're next, I think.
Hi, good evening, President Griffin, members of the board, Superintendent Skelly, and members of the cabinet. Much like my colleagues have shared, there's a lot of excitement on the campus. And these past 2 weeks, I would say, have been a whirlwind of anxiety and excitement. And for many of us, this first day of classes was the largest gathering we have been a part of in the last 16 months. So to see so many students, I think emotions overtook me, certainly looking over the quad and seeing it probably a little fuller than expected and getting a little nervous with the numbers. But I would say, like, outside, our students stayed masked up. They were so happy to see each other. It could not have gone better. We could not be happier to have our faculty and students back in person. Even though today was the first day of classes, we really started last week when we welcomed back just under 1,300 students over our 3-day orientation and registration days. Students took their photo IDs, got their lockers, checked out Chromebooks, and so we had a very successful distribution that way. We also set up a help center staffed by our classified members to assist our parents and guardians with their data confirmation. And because of our diligence and their hard work, we only had 69 families as of this morning who had to complete it, which is a really low number for San Mateo. I want to especially thank, and I don't want to leave anybody out, our activities director, student ambassadors, classified staff, admin team, our parent volunteers for making the event successful and possible. At San Mateo this year, our theme is student care, staff care, and self-care. So today, the first day, can be stressful normally, and even more so after a 16-month hiatus. So we started today as a no content day. We shared a slideshow of care and community building activities for each of the periods. And each administrator talked over Zoom. So teachers joined us over Zoom and we addressed the whole student body, answering the questions that were taken from our training earlier this week with Joe Truss and Shane Sapir. So we really shared a part of ourselves with our students. And so opening up to them about ourselves, I think will create a more safe community where students feel that they have an adult on campus to whom they can seek support. Talking to staff members in passing today, everyone seemed excited and enthusiastic about the new school year, to see our students interacting with one another, as it was one of the things they missed most during the pandemic, that human interaction. The end of the day left us exhausted, yet really joyful, as Valerie said, to be back. I think we had forgotten what it was like to have 1,600 students on campus, just the energy, the bells ringing, printing out lost schedules. We implemented, or we brought back Yonder, and so students do not have access to their cell phones during the school day. Like Paul said, showing students how to open their lockers, directing traffic, among all the other things that go on a daily basis. And we are ready to do it all again tomorrow. So thank you for this opportunity. Go Bearcats.
Samia, can you update us about Bridge?
Yes, good evening, members of the board. So we had an exciting day at Bridge today. We had 18 students. We were only missing a few. We've been able to talk to most of them, and we know we'll have 4 more joining us. The vast majority of our students this year are actually brand new and just arrived in the country over the summer. We have a few kids coming back who joined us in the spring, and 3 kids that we consider our veterans that we're excited to actually see graduate. We have had students transition through Bridge and go back to comprehensives and graduate, but these will be our first Peninsula Bridge graduates this year. We also had the same theme of creating community. We had breakfast and played games outdoors, got to know one another, And then spent some time also handing out computers, teaching kids how to log in, how to check email, how to create bookmarks for those things. For many of our students, it was the first time for them to actually have their own computer and learn kind of how to use things and understand what Canvas is. And one of our most exciting parts of the day is we actually got to see Christina Gutierrez start her first day of teaching in our district. She was a former classified staff with us. She's a Hillsdale graduate. And so it's always fun to see someone, young and enthusiastic. Nina and I have been in the game for a long time. So we're kind of feeding, off of her energy. And, she loves our kids in program. So it's fun, when you get to welcome someone new to the profession. Tomorrow, we'll be focusing our day on really wrapping our students around the In Lakesh pedagogy that we really espouse in our program, right? In Lakesh is a poem, and it really centers around this idea, tu eres mi otro yo, you are my other me, and that we need to hold each other and care for one another and take care and help one another. And I want to just quickly thank San Mateo. We had 3 kids kind of get lost and go over there, and they quickly figured out they belong to us and called over, and we're able to get them. And then I also want to congratulate Ron and the Peninsula staff, because I did have a chance after Bridge finished to go over there and just see how happy kids were to be back, and the community building, and seeing teachers and students, connect in the relationships there. And it just felt really nice. So thank you.
Thank you. I just want to say a couple things. Other things. One is that in terms of staff vaccinations, we provided some information last time. We had a deadline of today at noon to get that feedback back. We're still scrubbing the data. Right now, it looks like it's north of 87% of our staff is vaccinated. I think some people still haven't completed their survey, but we know it's at least that high. Our students is about 83% right now, and obviously with different events, we'll get more folks vaccinated. We're going to start our testing program for staff next week. So if they're not vaccinated, or they didn't attest to being vaccinated or didn't respond, then they'll be tested for safety. And then we fed everybody who wanted a meal today in the district for free. And as you know, that's a new expectation. It was a little bit chaotic, but Mr. Royce and his team did a great job. So that's the end of our report. We went a little long tonight, I know, but too much good news to keep under a hat. So there we are.
Okay, thank you. Is there a student board member for this evening? Okay. K3, report of the District Teachers Association representative.
Good evening, President Griffin, members of the board, and district cabinet. This is the only group, the only community in which you can say Happy New Year in August and everyone knows what you mean. So there's clearly a common theme here, and I won't deviate too much. But I do want to say Happy New Year and welcome everybody back. And it really is good to be back. To that end, I really want to, as I often do at this time of year, but even every part of the year, really recognize our administrative staff for putting things together, for making things run smoothly. I've gotten really good reports from all the sites. But I really do want to recognize the classified staff as well. Don't want to leave anybody out, as many have said, but the plant managers, the boilermen, the SPOEs, the day crews, the night crews, everybody was there to make sure that teachers had what they needed to do what they needed to do for the first day. And speaking of the first day, this was my 29th first day of school. It pains me to say that, but I did have a student in class today that I taught both of their parents. And although I'm much closer to my last first day than to my first, this one was filled with more hope than many of the past. Not by any measure normal, this first day was filled with human reminders of some of the reasons we all chose a teaching career. The social nature of education that Jeff mentioned, classrooms filled with eager students, collaborative professional relationships, thoughtful discussions with colleagues, and even faculty meetings. Well, maybe not the faculty meeting part. After the last 18 months, it was really great to see and feel the promise of a successful year. Unfortunately, our success is significantly threatened by the fact that this pandemic is still far from over. Case numbers and hospitalization in San Mateo County are increasing at an alarming rate. We're at the highest level of the CDC transmission rankings. With over 18 cases per 100,000 county residents, San Mateo is nearly 3 times the purple tier threshold from last spring. We're all ready for this to be over. And despite the current data, there are far too many people who believe it is over. It's not, and not by a long shot. We really must remain vigilant in our effort to combat COVID transmission in our school community. We are very pleased that California, under Governor Newsom's leadership, will be the first state to require vaccination or regular testing for all California teachers, a requirement that the association and the district have been discussing for the past month. We believe that the requirement should be extended to everyone, including students. Our district could still make that happen locally. Indeed, the CDC and the CDPH guidelines recommend regular testing of students who are unvaccinated when community transmission is as high as ours is. Why aren't we already doing this? We must remain vigilant. There's also no reason to hold any large meetings in person. Simply stated, all meetings should be virtual. As Bob mentioned, considering masking and other protocols, virtual meetings are often more efficient and effective than those held in person. More importantly, vaccinated individuals contract and transmit the Delta variant just as easily as unvaccinated individuals, often without symptoms. Are we really going to risk the health of students and staff for a faculty meeting? How will parents react to the news that their child has tested positive or that the next school shutdown is due to transmission that occurred at a faculty meeting? We really must remain vigilant. Testing is free from the state. There's simply no reason not to require testing for everyone. There's certainly no reason not to require testing for anyone who is exposed to a positive case. There's really no excuse for not ensuring that everyone is safe. Again, we must remain vigilant. Unlike the early days of the pandemic, N95 masks are inexpensive now and readily available. Cloth face coverings provide a few minutes of protection. N95s provide many hours of protection. Why aren't we providing N95s to our employees? We must remain vigilant. If we fail to prevent transmission, we will have a shutdown. If we are cavalier about the risk, then the hope of the first day will be unrealized. We can do so much good for our students this year, but only if we remain vigilant. Vaccination, testing, N95s, these are simple, easy lifts with huge benefits. We owe it to the community to do the easy things to keep kids safe and keep schools open. Let's remain vigilant and let's keep that first day hope alive. Thank you.
Thank you. K4, report of the CSEA Chapter 519 representative. Good evening.
That's me. Good evening, President Griffin, members of the board, Dr. Skelly. I am Carrie Velez, CSEA Chapter 519 President, and I'm here to give the CSEA report tonight. Where did our summer go? Happy first day of school, everyone. It has been a busy week preparing for our students to return, and it was very exciting to see and hear our students and families back on campus. A shout out to Peninsula High School for their luau themed back to school opening day. I understand it was a blast. This summer, we had new hires, amendments, and agreement changes as we prepared for the hybrid type school year. With masks, but not social distancing, hand sanitizer, and sneeze guards if you wanted them. With the ever-changing health recommendations, we are all trying to keep up and moving forward safely together. We are happy to report that the 4-day work week during the summer went well for many of our 12-month members. We hope that this summer schedule will continue in the future. Administrators, we are back and ready to continue our roles and responsibilities. Thank you, classified staff, for stepping up for reassignments last school year and throughout the summer. CSEA would like to thank the board for recommending the anti-racism speakers we as a district got to interact with on August 9th, and would like to be involved in all future presentation and discussions regarding this very important subject. We are open to working with the district to plan professional development days well in advance and hope the district takes classified employees' start days into consideration. Unfortunately, not everyone was able to attend the PD day because their start day back to work was August 12th. To build equity, compassion, and understanding, not only for our students, but for classified, certificated, and administration alike, it is imperative that we be able to come together, unified, to discuss and tackle these important issues. We hope the district will not only make grand statements of change, but also implement concrete action items and ongoing solutions for faculty, parents, students alike. Change must start now. In closing, I would like to say it's very nice to see so many of you that I have missed seeing on a regular basis. So thank you for your time and have a good evening.
Thank you. K5, report of the San Mateo Adult School Teachers Association.
Yes, hello, Board of Trustees, Dr. Skelly. I'm Jeannie Diamond. Happy New Year. This is my start of my 28th year with the adult school. Hard to believe, but so I want to thank the board and the district for keeping the excellent communication about the plans with COVID and all of those things so that we can be prepared to start. We're also excited about the equity training you guys participated in earlier this week. We are starting back to school. The staff and teachers are starting back to school on Monday, and our students come back on Monday, the 23rd. But I just wanted to thank you guys, and we look forward to having a wonderful, great year with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. L1, 21-22 annual district goals update.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we are aware that we went a little long there. So we're going to not spend a whole lot of time on this next presentation, but we do think it's important. This is work that we do every single year. And this year, I just want to say that I mentioned this at last board meeting that goal number 1A, 1B, 1C is to have a year that's safe and healthy and helps put the district back together again. But we do have certainly academic goals, and those things won't happen without a lot of hard work, and we're ready to do that. So I'm going to go through the slideshow. Dr. Kempke is going to lead us through the goals more so than usual. Usually I spend a lot of time on these, but they tie very closely to the LCAP goals. Let's go to the first slide here. Okay, so the theme of the year is to leading change, celebrating a connected community, and creating equity. These are things that I heard from you and the feedback that I got from my evaluation, as well as some of the things that we've been yearning to do. And I think you'll see that these things are certainly written into our LCAP goals. They're part of our 21-22 goals. And we look forward to rolling these out with folks. And we talked about them quite a bit at the administrative retreat, with some of the work that we've done at Council and Cabinet, with our PTOs, with other groups. So we think they will resonate well with our community. Next slide. So I'm going to turn this over to you, Dr. Kempke, mindful of the time that we have here.
Great, thank you. I'm glad to be here. Board of Trustees, thank you for giving me a little bit of time on the goals, the priority areas, and metrics. As Dr. Scully mentioned, much of this will be very similar to what you saw in the spring, in the spirit of aligning our district board goals with the LCAP. Really, we just refined some of these goals based on the feedback during our administrative retreat. As a reminder, these goals were developed through our Equity Advisory Committee, which is made up of community members, parents, teachers, staff members, and we came up with 4 priority areas. And really, these areas are aligned with the goals and what we vision for creating a more equitable system for our students. So the 4 areas are authentic relationships, safe and connected communities, inclusive, relevant learning for every student, and supporting and empowering staff. So all of this was actually approved by the board in June. So we're looking today for any refinements to that. Also just thoughts around maybe action steps to get us closer to these goals, or what we'll start working on and will be part of the goal setting that all of us staff, principals will be thinking about. We can go down to the next slide. So the first area was the authentic relationships. We put this first because we think most important, particularly after coming out of a global pandemic, focusing on relationships. We know that is the core of how students learn, is knowing that they have an adult in their classroom and in the schools that care about them. So put this as one of our first goal areas. You can go to the next slide. And in order to create those authentic relationships, we have some specific goals around that: increasing staff diversity, ensuring students have a strong relationship with at least one adult on the campus, and then multiple opportunities for family engagement and effective communication. And then if you go to the next slide, these are the metrics aligned to those goals. One other thing I want to mention is that in order to make our slideshow succinct, we didn't include all of the numbers of the metrics, but those are all included in the LCAP, and we did take a look at those last spring. So each one of these metrics has a certain percentage that we're working towards an increase, and we can include that in an upcoming weekly if that's helpful. So we're increasing the percentage of students who respond favorably to this idea in a survey to them that they have a strong relationship on campus. And then also that parents are indicating they have engagement on the campuses. You can move on to the next slide. The second area is around safe and connected communities. And so this is about the culture of the school, ensuring that it's welcoming, culturally responsive, and supportive. And again, it's connected to the relationships, but it's more about how do we set up the expectations in the cultures in our schools in order to do this. You can go to the next slide. The goals related to this are talking about ensuring we have a strong family engagement framework. We also are talking about how do we increase students' participation in student leadership opportunities, increase the diversity that we're seeing in a lot of those leadership opportunities for students. And we also know part of this is creating a community where students that is culturally responsive, inclusive, and then fosters a culture of upstanding. We say upstanding because, again, related to our goal around ensuring that our campuses are free of any kind of hate speech. As we know, that's one of our large goals here. So you can go to the next slide. Metrics aligned to that talk about the discipline. So seeing a decrease in suspension, expulsion. Again, we have metrics, specific percentages of all of these. Absenteeism, and then we also have the qualitative data around the students' responses to the Panorama survey around hate speech in particular, as well as students participating in clubs and sports. So increasing students' access to those opportunities on campus is one way that we want to create those culture of safe and connection. Next slide. Inclusive, relevant learning for every student. So these are the traditional area of ensuring that we have high quality teaching and learning happening in the classroom that is personalized to meet the needs of each one of the students. So it also includes our goals around tiered, the multi-tiered system of support. You can go to the next slide. So that includes ensuring learning experiences for all students that are aligned to their identities, lived experience, and interests in all subject areas. This is aligned to our equity vision around ensuring students that walk into classes feel a sense of belonging there. They're able to learn. Research shows that if they feel a connection to the content, they're going to be able to learn better. So that will be part of our work ongoing. Multi-tiered system of support, ensuring students had the tiered support in the classes and that they can have the first best instruction and that they access the general education classroom as much as possible. And then improve students' access to coursework aligned to their interests and post-secondary goals. So again, you go on to the next slide. You have metrics aligned to each one of those areas. So it includes our metrics on CASP, college and career indicator, which is including community college attendance, CTE, their results on CASP. That will be probably one that we track very closely because it does combine a lot of really important indicators on how well we're preparing students as they move through. Goal on dual enrollment and increase. There's also one in here, increasing the percentage of teachers that meet the minimum requirements for dual enrollment so that we can have more, as we heard from our student earlier, classes that are both community college and high school classes. And then we separated out our goals around how to serve our English learners, because ensuring that we're looking at that as a discrete group that we need to be serving at the highest level. Next slide. The last goal area is around supporting and empowering staff, and we want to see our staff with all the tools, resources, training, professional learning that promotes this positive district culture and the idea of collective efficacy. And we've launched some of this work by having all certificated and as many as our classified staff participating in the professional learning this last Monday. I'm sorry, go on to the next slide. Here are the goals. So those are the training goals around hate speech and racist incidents. Our professional learning in general, making sure that it is personalized and differentiated for staff. Continuing to improve and enhance our instructional coaching program. And then another important goal is around tracking our faculty of color and making sure that they're feeling supported and included in our school and collegial communities. Last slide, I think. Can move on to the next slide. So again, these are the metrics aligned to those goals. Increase the percentage of teachers reporting that they're satisfied with professional learning, the instructional coach program, and then the May Learning Symposium is directly related to our year-long work with Joe Trust and Shane Saphir. We want to track how many people are able to participate in the Learning Symposium, and then increase the percentage of anti-racist teaching practices, and then increase staff of color perception of support and inclusion as based on the Panorama survey. Next slide. So here are the, Dr. Scully, I don't know if you want to speak to this slide, but this is the proposed timeline. We're bringing the goals here for you to discuss, provide any more feedback. We'll bring them back for approval based on any input that you might give here. And then Dr. Scully will, he aligns his personal goals to these. And then we all in district council, principals, align our goals as well to these. And then we meet through the fall and do some mid-year progress report and then the final report in June. Next slide. I think that might be the last slide.
That's it. So we're available to answer any questions. The goal, as you can see from the timeline, would be to have these approved at our next meeting. If you notice, some of the goals we have directional ideas, but not sort of, okay, we're going to go from say 63% of on the college and career indicator to 68. That is in the LCAP, and our thoughts are based on your feedback that we would come back with more refined metrics at the 26th board meeting when we ask you to approve these.
In terms of questions, it looked like both Trustee Hanley and Trustee Andrade Zuniga have their hands up. Trustee Hanley, please.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's really important to put these metrics out, when we're doing these presentations. I can't remember what they were in the LCAP a few months ago, just off the top of my head. So I'm sure that other people in the public and so forth, if they're happening to be attending the board meeting and pulling up the presentation, can't remember them either. So I think when we're doing these presentations, I think it's important to have these metrics as part of the presentation so that people get an idea of where we are and where we want to go. when we're pulling out goals. And I think the metrics are an inherent, part of setting goals rather than just saying increasing or decreasing. It just doesn't give you the right sense of what's involved. One other thing around the panorama survey, I know at one point one of our student surveys had talked about, had really highlighted, a sense of depression or sadness. There was a question in there about that, and that was really something that stood out even before the pandemic, that had struck me as very high, even before we went through this situation with the pandemic. And I think we need to assess that, and get a sense of where that is right now. So I think that's something that needs to be added in there. And I can't remember what the metric is around chronic absenteeism. I think that's something that we're going to have to really focus on. I suspect chronic absenteeism is a lot higher than what we thought it was. My sense is there were a lot of cameras that were turned off in the last year, and I think absenteeism is a lot higher than perhaps was captured. And I think re-engagement generally, and particularly absenteeism, is something that we're going to be dealing with. And so I think we really need to have a focus on, where is that? How are we getting kids back re-engaged? Are we really focused on absenteeism and engagement right now as we're trying to bring ourselves out of this situation of the last 18 months. So, I really want to see the metrics and those other things. So those are my comments right now.
Thank you. Trustee Andrade Zuniga.
Yes, thank you. I want to say thanks for this report. I wanted to highlight, along with our vision and mission of our district and a lot of the things that were included in this report. I want to make sure, just in the spirit of equity and all of that, that every contract we have, every person we hire, sorry, my computer just went, every person we hire, everybody we work with, that we are making sure that we are thinking about that and who we're serving, and like the diversity of our district. I also wanted to make sure that our parents are educated on how to access services to the district. A lot of just different, like with special ed, like with the IEPs, and that people know how to access our leadership. That's part of what equity is for a lot of our families that don't know how to navigate the systems. I also wanted to make sure that everybody, like all of our students that are new to the district, don't have, that don't know how to, also how to navigate the system, that don't speak the language, and things like that are definitely supported. So again, in the spirit of equity and spirit of inclusion and the vision and mission of our district, I just want to make sure that that we're also providing those resources.
Thank you. Trustee Land.
So again, I would like to say thank you. I think we've hit on the three main points are excellent choices for leading change, celebrating connected community, and creating equity. With that, and you're looking at the goals, I think I don't want to reiterate too much, but both Mr. Hanley and Ms. Zuniga really talk about the engagement. And I think for me, the priority is on that re-engagement and engaging and building the authentic relationships, having the connected communities, having the relevant learning. I think you've really hit it on the right mark. I just think we need to look a little deeper at how we are engaging in the classroom. How are we connecting our teachers to the students? And I just want to go back to what the principal said earlier. And I know we haven't at a high level. I just want to see it in the classroom, or how do we promote it in the classroom? How can we support it? How can we support the teachers to do that? Just to reiterate one of Principal Gilbert's saying, learning is a social phenomenon. And I think just outlining this with our LCAP really proves that. And I think the pandemic has really shown that it's so important to do this. So I want to reiterate that I think we're on the right track. I think we're doing really well with connecting and using these goals and using these metrics. I think we have to go a little deeper on what does engagement look like. And I think you've hit it on many counts. It's just, what does engagement look like at the classroom level, and what metrics can we use? So that's the only thing I have. Thank you.
Trustees Lee, Dwyer.
Okay, I'm double unmuting here. This may have been said, not sure. But I think that so much communication. I like this presentation. I like the goals. I think we're very much moving in the right direction. And particularly given the fact that we've lived in the Zoom world for the last year or more, and the students have gained and lost from that experience, and as have the families. I'm thinking back to when my kids were in school and how nothing really came home in the mail. Everything came home. We were really getting into technology. And so everything was being communicated for email and websites and all of that. And I think we cannot forget, particularly with some of our more recent immigrant families, that something in the mail in their language, inviting them, advising them of the schedule, of the calendar, of what's coming up, things they can attend. It may seem kind of, who uses the US Post Office anymore, but I think we really should look at that also as a means of communication, because you don't have to have your internet running. You don't have to have the power on. You can, that can arrive in your door, and it gives you something else. And I know that a lot of people might put something, a little calendar, a little schedule, a little information on the refrigerator so they can remember to go. So I'm hoping that we look at all modes of communication, because I know we've all become very technology focused. But thank you.
Yeah, I just got just a couple quick comments. I really liked the goals, and they seem to be almost incomprehensible English. Not that they weren't before, but it seemed in prior years we had a lot of educrat speak in them. And I think if you had a parent look at these, they could kind of understand and figure out really what it is we're trying to do. And I think that's really important. And I really liked, and there's a lot of things in here, and I think the board's made a lot of valid comments. The thing I think about in school was there was always somebody you could talk to. It may not have been your counselor. Maybe there was a teacher you connected with, the custodian, I guess with SPOE or whoever it was. I think we lost that along the way because there were genuine relationships that people cared about you. And if you needed some help, they point you in one direction or the other. And I do like the part about the multiple opportunities for family engagement and communication. And I think if we think about that in a broad, diverse way, we're not just talking about one size fits all in terms of the opportunities, and we're not talking about one language, and we're not talking about one medium or one method, email, mail, handouts carried home or posters or whatever. So I think if we think about it in a very broad way, you know, it is going to be reaching out to the diverse population. So anyway, I actually enjoyed the presentation, not that I don't enjoy every presentation that's made here. So that's my 2 cents. It's coming back. We've tried to give you some feedback.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll, you know, it'll get incorporated.
Yeah.
So.
And I just want to say this about relationships too. I'm trying harder, and all of us from the district office are going to try hard to really be on sites and talk to people and mix with people and listen and all those kinds of things in ways that, you know, we're all hungry for that. I mean, I've missed it, and I'm anxious to just spend more time on the campus. I mean, I don't know about you, Mr. Land, you got, you know, school starting real soon, and, you know, you're just hungry for those contacts with people in real life. I mean, Zoom sort of stinks for this kind of stuff. So anyway, thank you for the feedback, and we look forward to coming back on the 26th.
Okay, are we going to move on to?
Yes, we are.
L2, Child Development Education at Hillsdale High School.
Okay, thank you very much. We're excited about this item. We think it dovetails really nicely with some of our goals. We think it fits in an exciting way our college and career indicator opportunities. And we're delighted to have with us to walk us through this, Mr. Jeff Gilbert, the principal at Hillsdale, and then Ashley Milton, whom some of you may not know, but she is now in her 7th year as an assistant principal extraordinaire at Hillsdale. So this is a short presentation. We're going to go through it, and then we'll have ample time to answer questions that you have. So I'm going to turn this over, I think, to you, Mr. Gilbert, first.
Thank you, President Griffin, members of the board. It's a pleasure to talk to you about this. I'm going to turn it over to Ashley in just a second. She's done some amazing work with the local community college district to try to figure out how to do this, to create a program that really is going to provide a remarkable opportunity for our students. I think we can go to the next slide. Just briefly, Hillsdale High School has had for the past 35 plus years a child development program on our campus. It has been run by a teacher who ended up filling 2 roles, both to teach our high school students about child development and then to oversee the students, the 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds who were on campus. Our high school students took a class in child development. We usually would have 3 or 4 sections of that class, and they would work with the 3 or 4-year-olds who would be on campus 3 days a week, and usually in the mornings. The program was in some ways outstanding. It was an integrated program, very vibrant, a lot of heterogeneous grouping, opportunities for our students to mix and mingle with local students in the community. But in some ways it was stuck in between. It couldn't really serve the needs of the high school students in terms of preparing them for careers. And so in the last year, we have had to put, obviously, the child development program, suspend that because of COVID. But now, due to the work of Ms. Milton and our partners, I think we have a model that could really be a gem of a program in terms of moving our students into a career that obviously we think is very important as educators ourselves, and through a program at Kenyatta that has been outstanding in terms of early childhood development. So I'd like to turn it over to Ms. Milton. Again, I can't thank her enough for all the work she's done. And I think we can move to the next slide.
Great. Members of the board, Superintendent Skelly, thank you again. This brings us to where we are now. And so during the pandemic, we invited Kenyatta College to help us re-envision what the program could really be in order to make a more robust opportunity for our high school students. In the spring, we piloted having 12 of our students take concurrent enrollment classes through Kenyatta. So not on our high school campus, but they access the classes, they receive the supports from Kenyatta College, and all of them were successful in getting that credit. We are excited. We had 103 students today who were enrolled and attended our 3 sections that Kenyatta College is going to offer. It's their Early Childhood Development 210 class. We have them. The students were here today. They are excited to begin, and we've begun the onboarding process with them already to get them enrolled in Kenyatta College. These students will also continue into the spring semester with additional coursework. Kenyatta College has been really thoughtful in which courses are most appropriate for high school students at this level, and which of those courses will help propel them to be most career ready. What we are moving towards tonight is in part also that the preschool experience and being able to offer a preschool on campus would provide our high school students with the lab experience that they need. In our partnership with Kenyatta and during that re-envisioning program, Kenyatta is, of course, offering the support in multiple ways, one of which is that they are offering these sections of the curriculum and the content for high school students. They are also excited about partnering with the preschool program, which would provide that actual lab experience, which is also a requirement for our students to become employable after they graduate. Kenyatta has an extraordinarily extensive support system for high school students. And then they are in development. They are working on the apprenticeship program during the summer months. For students that are interested, and they'll have additional opportunities. We can go to the next slide. I would like to introduce to you Patty Hall. She is our partner at Kenyatta College, and she is going to review part of this next slide.
Hi, Superintendent Scully and trustees. I am at a remote family gathering, so I'm going to stay off video, so hopefully you can hear me. My name is Patty Hall, Dr. Hall from Kenyatta College, and I've been there about 20 years. One of my mentors there, someone that you know well, Tom Moore, said to me when he first started at the college, Patty, we've got to get in the high schools. And so I'm here today with Vice Principal Milton in a really exciting time for us, because Kenyatta College has had a big early childhood and elementary education program for some time. And this is a really logical extension to that. I'll be working as the coordinator for that program, and 2 of our really well-respected faculty are teaching the classes that Ashley Milton told you about. Sarita Santos has a doctorate in special ed, early childhood special ed, and Jamie Smith has a master's in early childhood education. What we offer at the college is several degrees for transfer, one in early childhood education and one in elementary education, as well as a stackable certificate program where students can enter at the very beginning of their educational pathway and build their way up to associate degrees for transfer, and then that can launch them into higher ed. The college is working diligently, I think would be a good word, on our apprenticeship program. It will be a registered apprenticeship with the state, and our soft launch will be January of next year. What's exciting about that is we just received news that students who have engaged in our beginning classes will be able to be fast-tracked into that apprenticeship program. So I can talk more about that later, but that's really an exciting part of what we're doing at Kenyatta College right now.
And we are really seeing this as 3 parts of a program. So Kenyatta College, of course, Hillsdale High School, and being able to continue to support our students on campus, both through their academics, social support, and then the support with their course selection and helping them to find a pathway and a course progression that is correct for them. This is also continuing with the development of CTE requirements. And the third component of it, like we mentioned before, would be the hands-on or lab experience of the preschool. The preschool community organization would be selected by SMUHSD through an RFP process. That organization would be held to providing a really high quality preschool education program. And they would be in charge of providing the licensure and the staffing for the preschool. We want somebody who's really invested in working with our high school students and Kenyatta College. We really feel that they have our students will have the ability to have with experience of getting a professionally run program with their content and curriculum, that is going to truly prepare our students for the workforce and provide students with access that they need for both the academic and experiential components to integrate together for their own learning. And finally, the preschool would also be responsible for the insurance and liability of the preschool program. We can go to the next slide.
And then if I could just interrupt here to mention that standards for early childhood education and elementary teacher preparation are undergoing rapid change. The California Commission on Teacher Credentialing is overseeing this process of change. This year, they're piloting their new TPE program, Teacher Performance Expectations. This is really familiar to elementary education, but for early education, they will be now reviewing our higher education program through their program guidelines. And these guidelines are explicitly about the classes that we will be required to teach within our programs. And these new classes, or the classes as we teach them, will need to have high quality hands-on performance evaluations of students. So the center at Hillsdale will allow us to be on the cutting edge of teacher preparation with your students, because we'll be able to provide that teacher performance expectation assessment within the classroom, within their experience on campus. Thank you.
And this slide continues to articulate our goals and outcomes that we would like to see for our students. What Patty was talking about and the course progression that Kenyatta College has put together means that students have the ability to potentially be in our program for 2 years and graduate with the 12 core units that are essential when combined with that lab experience to be employable in a preschool setting as soon as they turn 18. So it is a direct pathway for students into a profession. If they wanted to continue further, there would be a seamless transition into Kenyatta College or another institution that they are choosing. And it really jumpstarts our students' readiness to both be a college student, to be having a foot in the door in the professional world. And they will have already started their official college transcripts. And this will also increase the students who are going to meet the college and career indicator for, which is one of our district goals. We can go to the next slide.
All right, I'll take this. So in terms of insurance and liability, Ashley noted a couple of things about that, but we've reviewed the program, the structure, as well as the insurance and liability issues with our insurance group, SMUHSD. The liability is primarily related to a lessor-lessee relationship, as we will be requiring insurance and indemnification from both our providers as well as Kenyatta College on this. So I'll, next slide.
So maybe I'll jump in here. So what are we looking for from the board tonight? We hope that you will authorize the district to establish an RFP, and we'll write that up, and we would bring this back for approval so that we can have young children there. So the experience of our staff, of our students, is not purely academic, but they're really seeing young children here. We think there's a clear community need for childcare, but the big thing is this is a great experience for our students. So we would prepare this. Much of the work on the RFP has been done before, and staff has familiarity with this. We would explore those opportunities, and you'd receive an update in November on this exciting initiative. And we may have an RFP to present to you for approval if we're fortunate and things move along in that way. So that's our ask of the board. We're happy to answer questions. And that's the end of our presentation.
Would you take the, thank you. So the hands I see up are Lee's Dwyer, Land, Hanley, and I can't see everybody, but anyway, we'll start at the top with Lee's Dwyer, trustee.
Okay, I have some questions because the presentation is very general, and that's I guess there's good in that, but the preschool really, my understanding of your presentation is that the preschool is a lab for our students to learn how to child development and how to work with small children. So it's a lab. We're setting up a lab. And I have some specific questions, which I think you probably can answer for me. What numbers are we looking at? What is our capacity? And what are the capacity and what are the hours for the lab children?
I think you have this one, Ms. Milton.
Yeah, so we would be proposing a full-time preschool, so approximately 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And I think that our space has been designated to have a max capacity of 30 students, but I would have to go back and double check. It might be 25 students in our preschool program.
Okay, and what is the ages you would have in this program?
3 to 5 year olds.
And who pays who? How do payments work for the program?
That would be part of the RFP process, and the organization that comes in would help dictate who pays for, which family members pay which amount. There would be community members who would pay a market rate for childcare. There might also be spots reserved at a lower cost for younger siblings of our Hillsdale students or our Hillsdale staff members.
So would we be receiving money from the district, would be paid to have the children on our site? We would get money from them?
We would not be the recipients of that money. The organization that we would bring in would be responsible for collecting that money.
Okay, so there would be no cost to us then, other than our normal education of students. We would pay teachers for the class they teach. We would not have any out-of-pocket costs for the preschool because it's operating on our site as a lab, but also a preschool. They provide their own food, they provide their own cleaning equipment, they provide their own cleaning people, they take all COVID precautions, they manage emergencies, the preschool RFP person would do all of that.
I believe that we would help with operations in terms of facilities and cleaning. I didn't catch all of your question, but the other costs would be presumed to be the preschool's responsibility.
And I know I've been in the classroom because I remember when it was first redone, when things were rebuilt. So is it segregated from students who would not, from normal students who are not in the program? Is it segregated in such a way that the little children would not be mixed in any way with other students other than the participants in the program?
Yeah, they have their own entryway into the preschool classroom, and they have their own outside designated area. And they have their own bathroom facility within the preschool. So they have a fully contained area for them to be in.
Okay. I just, I want to make sure that if we bring on 30 little children onto the program, onto our campus that we're using for a lab, they're going to be our lab children, but they're also participating in a preschool that they're paying for, that they're absolutely 100% safe from anything that could happen to them while on our premises, and that like emergency plans are in place if there's some sort of emergency at the school as a whole, that there's an exit strategy for them. There are people that would take care of them. And I mean, the whole thing. And also like there's naps they have to have. That's why I asked about capacity, because there's a space issue based upon they have to have their naps and all that sort of thing. So I didn't think the room was that big to accommodate that many children for that length of time, given all the things that you do with children that age. So that's, yeah. Is there how many restrooms do we have?
Ashley,
Okay.
Ashley, could I jump in for just a second?
Of course.
So what my understanding is of the classroom, though I haven't been in the classroom, and I have been a community director at a number of licensed childcare programs across the county, there are very strict space requirements. So
Yes.
before you could get a license, you'd make a proposal to licensing. They will
Right.
have to go through the whole application process, and then that process determines the capacity of children, the
Okay.
number of adults. There's a specific fire
Okay.
visit. The fire marshal comes out and does a specific visit for that. Part of licensing is that the person that you choose to run the program will have to come up with an emergency plan that is totally separate from the high school. Of course, it would be in collaboration with the high school,
Right.
but we would have to show, the vendor would have to show in that plan where you would evacuate children to, how you would do that, how you would generate the capacity to do that. So young children have very different needs.
Right.
Some of them are just barely mobile. So all of those things are taken into consideration when licensing does their first visits and comes out and licenses a program. That's something that's actually working really well with community care licensing, is the initial assessment of the facility. So the facility is very safe. My understanding from a couple of people who have seen the facility, who are early education specialists, is that it is a really fine facility. It's fairly new, I believe.
Yes.
So I think that in that selection process, when you're looking at community partners, you're going to want to have those conversations. And that's what the RFP is about. The request for proposal lays out all those expectations. And I had a peek at the RFP, and it's pretty comprehensive. So those worries, I think you can set aside in terms of safety and supervision of children. And there's a totally separate playground that's child oriented. I think that's pretty well in hand, I think.
Good. Yeah. Because since
Yeah.
we hadn't been told anything about capacity or, a lot of these little details I'm asking, I mean, obviously I was going to ask them because I didn't see them in the presentation. So your answers are perfect, because then, the safety of the child is number one. And I know Mr. Gilbert isn't going to have anything unsafe, or Ms. Milton, for any child on our campus.
Right.
How will our students, it's a long program, 8 to 4 is a long day. So will our students be able to interact? They will take a class or 2 classes, and then they will be in and out during that time period. Is that how it would work? Our students would have access to be, because it's a long day to have these little kids on campus.
It's a pretty typical day for lots of children in childcare everywhere
Okay.
across the country. So in terms of for children, 8 to 4 is actually short. 7 to 5, 7 to 6 is pretty typical for programs to be open, longer in San Mateo County. And the program would probably not have many students in during nap time, right? That's when children need to rest. But at other times, that's why the choice of a community partner is really important. At those other times, that's when the programming partnership comes in. That's where, when we have our students in classes, the dual enrollment classes, they'll be in and out with their faculty members. They'll be in and out for specific assignments, for specific observations, for specific hands-on application in a curriculum class. So that's why the partnership between the high school, the college, and the community partner that relationship is super important.
So
Again,
we would
I just
be
tip
opening
back to the RFP. That's where those things will be nailed down.
Okay, and I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. So we are actually looking at opening a childcare program to have a lab, not childcare. We're opening a preschool to have a lab, which will be good for our students, and also good for the little students. And then it's going to be childcare also.
Preschool childcare are kind of synonymous terms, but yes, there'll be families attending, and their children will be there while they're at work. So then it's childcare because they're at work.
Okay.
But for
I
the
just wanna
child, it's
understand
preschool.
it.
It's high quality
Okay.
preschool. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. You've answered all my questions. Thank you.
Sure, you're welcome.
Trustee Land.
I hope I didn't overstep there.
No, thank you.
Actually, you answered quite a bit of my questions too. So I just happen to have been and currently am part of a childcare board as well, preschool childcare in the neighborhood in Burlingame. And the one question I really have is about the licensing. Are we going to do the licensing before the RFP, or do we have to do the RFP and then they have to do the licensing? That's one of my questions.
You would do the RFP and then the community partner would do the licensing. And did you say you were on the PalCare board?
Yes, I am.
Well, Yahoo! I was one of the founding PalCare directors. So
I've been on the board twice. Before I was on the school board, and they recruited me again recently. So I've been on for the last 2 years. So the next question I have is, you have these summer apprenticeships, and I'm wondering, what local agencies do you work with?
we do apprenticeships through the college with any agency who wants to do apprenticeships. And what we're doing right now is building out our apprenticeships. So I have longstanding professional relationships with PalCare, the Head Start, it's now called IZZY across the county. Peninsula Family Service Agency has expressed interest, and several of our local elementary school districts, Redwood City is one, San Bruno is another.
Okay. Lastly, I'm just going to say how supportive I am of this program. I think this is amazing. I think it's cutting edge. I think it's innovative. I think it'll bring diversity. I am really, really supportive of what's going to happen, and I'd like to see this move forward. So thank you, Dr. Hall and Ms. Melton, and Jeff. Thank you all.
Trustee Hanley.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, you've answered a lot of my questions also. I'm interested in, I guess, the academic side of the program. So when they come out with these basically 12 hours of credit, if they do the full 2 years, what do they have at the end of the 2 years? Is there an actual certificate at that point? You mentioned that they could be employed at that point.
Yeah, great question. With those core 12 units, they can go in two directions. One is to a community center who, with 12 units, being 18 years old and having those 12 units, they could be considered teachers. So they come in at a much higher level of pay. If they want to pursue a permit through the State Commission on Teacher Credentialing, it will have them ready for an associate teacher permit. We didn't want to get too far into the weeds on these details, but the questions are really important, because what the students get with that 12 units is that first step in the door toward their early childhood credential, and it fast tracks them into the rest of the academic plan. So to be a fully qualified teacher, you have to have 24 units of early childhood education and 36 units of general education. But what we find is if students aren't kind of fast tracked in, they get lost along the way, because they go out and get jobs, or they get a job and then they'll lose it. But if they get fast tracked in with those 12 units and they have a job when they get out, they can really see themselves in a career path. So that's where that 12 units becomes really important.
So let's say they get a job. Yeah, is the structure such that they could continue on at Kenyatta and get 12 more unit? You mentioned that the full, I guess the full qualification is 24 units. I mean, are the classes offered at night, or, I mean, they could be working during the day and continue and take classes at night? Is that?
Yeah, absolutely. The early childhood education pathway is stackable. So we start with 12, then they have 24. They add on some general education. Our goal is for them to achieve complete an associate degree for transfer or an associate degree in early childhood education. We know, though, that a lot of the students who are in this program might rather go toward elementary education. But what this does is it gets them the qualifications right away to get a job out of high school so that then they can go to the CSU and pursue or UCs, wherever they want to go. But they have a job already. They have a job available to them already. So we know that students at the UCs and CSUs are working while they're going to school. So this prepares them for a job that has pretty flexible hours. Our classes at the college, we've been online just like you guys for a year and a half. But before that, our department had most of our core classes available online. We offer classes on weekends, evenings, in different locations around the county, and we partner with Skyline College. So all of the classes that students take in both colleges work toward that associate degree.
So explain to me how this apprenticeship program that you're trying to establish fits into this program. Does that give you additional hours? Does it give you additional credentials? Or explain it to me. It's just not clear where it fits.
Sure. Well, the apprenticeship that we're developing with the early childhood program at Kenyatta and Skyline together, we're creating a program that doesn't really exist. Because education is a non-traditional field for apprenticeships, we had to look at things very differently. So our goal in our apprenticeship, a registered apprenticeship, is an associate degree. That's unusual. Usually you hear about apprenticeships in the trades, and they're, some vocational classes, and then mostly work, and you work with your journeyman and you learn how to do what you're doing. And 5 years of work consistent like that, you become a journeyman yourself. In education and early education, higher education, academics are essential. They're required, right? You can't be a teacher in elementary school without getting your bachelor's degree and then probably your master's degree these days. So the apprenticeship that we've developed is going to be able to allow students to streamline how many classes they take in their academic program without going into too much detail. Their combination of work and classes will help them achieve their associate degree in 3 years, rather than the average of 10 or 12 that it takes students to get through an associate degree now. Just because there's so much demand on their times, so much demand on them with their families, they take timeouts. The structure of the apprenticeship will allow them to work. They'll get credit for their work, allow them to take classes, and the students who complete the 12 units at Hillsdale will be able to fast track in because they'll already have taken those 12 units. So they'll be on their way as soon as they get to the college.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Andrade.
Sure. I can talk a lot more about Apprentice. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Hi, I just wanted to pull a little plug in for the program. My son graduated from Hillsdale in 2020, and he took the child development class. At that time, it was just like an elective, but he had so much fun in that class, and it taught him so much about just different things that he wasn't even like looking towards in terms of like a career path. But it like helped him think about someone else other than himself, and it was really cute because a lot of the football players were in that class as well. He was also a football player, and it was nice to see the kids kind of get out of themselves and think about someone else that they were caring for, and what their behavior looked like and what they were saying to them. And the whole thing was just really neat to see. So I know it's a little bit different than it is now, what's being proposed, but the partnership with the students, it's so nice to see. So I'm in full support. I just think it's a great partnership, and I'm glad that it advances the ability to get their AA a lot faster than normal. And it just the hands-on experience, there's nothing like it. So they can actually see how, like, what it's like. If a student wants to get into this type of field, you can actually see what it's like, now, instead of getting into that field and then, realizing that maybe it's not what you thought, or maybe it is, but it's nice for them to see it like a lab firsthand.
So let me just say, I think that joy of children that Ms. Zuniga mentioned is something that we need. And then also, I had my kids when I was a principal in a program like this for 8 years, and it was just a wonderful experience for them and me and all that. We have so many more of our staff. I think I said something to the board about this, about the number of administrators with young children is really increasing, and the same thing for our staff. So I think this fits a lot of our goals. We have some details to work out around pricing structure, the RFP, all those pieces that we think are certainly manageable here. But if you give us the go ahead tonight, and it sounds like you will, then we'll get started on those. And our hope would be to come back and update you either in a weekly sum and then also at future board meetings. So that's so if you're Mr. Griffin, I don't think we need a vote here, but I would like, because you're not approving the RFP, but you're sort of generally pushing us forward here.
Okay.
I
would prefer that we had a little more firm. Okay. Sorry, Trustee Lees Dwyer.
Oh, it doesn't, you don't have to be sorry. I think that, everything I've heard tonight really makes me believe that this is an opportunity. It's going to take time to flesh it out, to get the licensing and all of those things so the program can be put in place. But I feel like we are at the place now where this Hillsdale should go ahead and do this. This is important. And I think it's part of what we're trying to do with teacher and staff housing is to look at the whole employee and also, but give our students the educational opportunities, which will help them move on with their careers. So I see a lot to be gained from this. So thank you.
Well said. I agree.
Okay, so we are going to do this on a consensus, a head nod, and general direction. I'd like to understand, okay, we got an RFP that is going to come out, and is that going to actually come before the board?
We would work with Patty and Ashley and all that. If you want to see it, we'll certainly give it to you before it hits the street. We can put it on the agenda, and it might take 5 minutes for us to do, but we can do that for sure.
Okay, I'm just trying to understand what the touch points are for the board.
Yeah, so why don't we bring the RFP back when it's ready, and then we'll then the next step would be to bring an RFP for your approval with a vendor after.
Because then the other point that was sort of a deliverable type was an update in November, but I don't know that, probably the update could come when the RFP.
Yeah, that would be part of it.
Yeah.
Okay. So. Thank you. And thank you, Ms. Melton, for your work here. You're getting lots of experience with young children that you didn't have when you started. So I know this program is important to you.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Okay, there's nothing in construction, Division of Human Resources, N1 approval of personnel action.
Yes, we have personnel actions, no addendum tonight since we had the meeting last week. And this is our first run with the athletic coaches on this personnel action.
I move approval.
Second.
Okay, we're going to move on to N2 superintendent.
You got to vote.
Did we vote?
You have to vote.
Sorry, I apologize. I'm looking over here and Trustee Andrade Zuniga, how do you vote?
Yes.
Trustee Land, how do you vote?
Yes.
Trustee Lees Dwyer.
Yes.
Trustee Hanley.
Yes.
I'll vote yes. That's 5-0. Passes. Into superintendent's employment agreement for the 21-22 school year. I'm going to read a verbal.
I'm sorry, I do want to point out that we have had a request for a speaker, Kevin Nelson, so I've promoted him.
Okay. We'll hear the speaker before should we hear the speaker before I read out the terms? Okay. Let the members, the public speak, please.
Are you ready to go?
Yes.
There we go. All right.
So I'm cued in there. So I'm actually going to pick up on this in the contract as looking at the superintendent as the CEO of the district. I'm reiterating a lot of what Craig Childress had to say tonight about universal testing and leading the district. Anticipation versus responding. I've listened to a lot of comments tonight by a lot of staff, and it seems to be consensus by the school principals that they want more support. They want universal testing. There's absolutely no downside and no cost of this whatsoever. You heard comments such as, we're going to ensure COVID-free environments. We're going to do whatever it takes to make this happen. We have anxiety. We have crowded schools. We have tight halls. If any of you walked the halls today of the metal schools where there are no windows, there is significant concern about what's going on. So my comment in this contract is a part of leadership, is a part of making sure that this happens, anticipating what we need rather than waiting to respond. You're not going to get a second chance at this. If you have to explain to one family why this didn't work, that's going to be a big explanation, especially when it comes at no cost. You heard the principal of Cappuccino say you've been out for 516 days. If this was a major construction project, you would be purchasing an insurance project, an insurance policy, to make sure that it worked. This insurance policy comes at zero cost. What Craig Childress said today is the same thing that he's always said all along. He wants to make sure that everybody is safe, and he wants you to take action. So before you approve or comment on the superintendent's contract, I'm asking that we have you lead us in this, anticipating what can happen and ensuring that it doesn't. You have the knowledge, you have the backing, and you have the information that your principals have given you. They may not say it up front. They may not have said it out loud, but they clearly said tonight what they want you to do. This is at no cost. You talked about monitoring attendance. You need to monitor COVID to make sure that everybody feels safe. That's parents, that's students, that's everyone who's going to school every single day. I heard a lot tonight about a great first day. How about a second, third, fourth, next week, next month? This is going to add confidence and insurance to everybody that things are going to be safe. So I'm actually behind Craig, before we talk about your contract, to make sure that everything is going to come forth and you're going to lead and anticipate where we need to go to make sure that everything is safe and that we don't have to explain to people later on why it wasn't. You can go ahead now.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. The board will consider approving the employment agreement for Dr. Kevin Skelly to continue to serve as the superintendent of the school district. The agreement for the superintendent will become effective July 1, 2021. By the terms of the agreement, Dr. Skelly will remain the district superintendent. A summary of the financial terms are as follows. The term of the contract is from July 1, 2021 to June 30, 2024. The base salary of the superintendent for the 2021-2022 school year will be $328,848 for a work year of 224 days. The superintendent will receive a retroactive pay salary payment of 2% of his 2020-2021 salary is $6,448. That is the same percentage given to all district employees. There are no other financial changes to the superintendent's contract. Does anybody wish to comment, have any questions? Is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve the contract.
Trustee Lamb with the motion. Is there a second?
A second.
Trustee Hanley with the second. Trustee Andrade Zuniga, how do you vote?
I vote yes, with just saying that, there's a review period and everything, and we have discussed certain things with Dr. Skelly. And so I am confident that he can move forward, and I vote yes.
Trustee Land, how do you vote?
Yes.
Trustees Lees, Dwyer. Trustee, you're muted.
Yes.
Okay, Trustee Hanley,
Yes.
and I will vote yes, and N2 passes 5-0. Thank you. N3,
Yes, N3, this is the APE program lead, the program where a teacher, one of our APT teachers would provide special ed students with specialized fee tailored to their individual needs. This role would lead the other teachers and take responsibility beyond the typical teacher role in terms of participating in district curricular meetings, establishing goals for the APE program, and connecting with partner feeder schools and collaborating with the different PE departments throughout the district.
I make a motion to approve.
I have a question.
yes.
Okay, I second the motion, but my question is, looking at the position description, this is a salary of an $800 stipend. So the person's going to do all this extra things and we're going to give them $800.
This is similar to our other this is a very small, there's 2.2 teachers district-wide. This is similar to the department chair stipends at Peninsula High School. It's the same amount of money, and that's where that figure comes from.
Okay, it just seems like,
Yeah.
I hope that the level of the work matches the very small payment. I guess that would be, that would be my concern with all of these coming up. These different positions. $1 an hour. I don't know. I guess that's something that you would talk about, but it just seems like the description has a lot of activities in it, and we're only paying them $800 a year. Right?
That's right. Yeah, and that's
okay.
Like I said, that's similar to all the department chairs of Peninsula High School that have similar number of teachers.
Okay.
So, but I definitely understand what you're saying.
Well, we just approved the superintendent's contract, so I was doing the math on the daily wage, and now I'm looking at these stipends, and it just everything should be in some sort of proportion. But thank you. I second it.
Okay, Trustee Andrade Zuniga, you had your hand up for a second there. Did you
Yeah,
take
I
it?
was asking the same thing as Trustee Dwyer.
Okay, so we've got a motion by Trustee Land
And I second it.
and the motion, a second by Lees Dwyer. Did you have further comment?
I did. I was just going to say, I'm actually glad that Linda had pointed that out, because again, being in education, I recognize that sometimes we want to recognize employees who do above and beyond and want to prove to be leaders in this area. And sometimes we're not remunerated very much for it. And it's kind of a sad thing that is very indicative of education. And so I'm glad she pointed it out, but I'm still wanting to approve this so we can recognize these leaders who are willing to help out so much.
Okay. Trustee Andrade Zuniga, how do you vote?
I vote yes, but also like what Trustee Land is saying, it's so hard with getting the right people to help out with students with disabilities or people with disabilities, that I wish it was more compensated, but I do want this to move forward. So I'll vote yes for now.
Okay, Trustee Land?
Yes.
Trustee Lees Dwyer?
Yes.
Trustee Hanley?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. N3 will pass 5-0. N4, review, discussion, approval, job description for certificated position of adult transition curriculum program lead.
This ATC program lead is similar to the last one in terms of the stipend. We have 6 ATC teachers district-wide, and this role will engage in mentoring the teachers. We do have some teacher turnover in this program, or we've experienced that. They will collaborate with high school teachers in terms of electives. They'll ensure articulation with the feeder schools and coordinate the vocational opportunities for our students in the program. And again, it's the same stipend as the last one.
I make a motion to approve with the same reluctance.
Second.
Okay. So Trustee Lamb with the motion, Trustees Lees Dwyer with the second, Trustee Andrade Zuniga, how do you vote?
Same with the same reluctance, yes.
So that's a yes.
Yeah.
Okay, trustee Land,
Yes.
trustee Lees Dwyer,
I vote yes, but I really ask that we assess how we're paying these positions.
okay, trustee Hanley,
Yes.
I vote yes, it's 5-0. N5, discuss, review, and approve job description for a sustainability facilitator.
Okay, this is a district facilitator similar to our curriculum coordinators in terms of the stipend amount. This is $8,000, and this role will promote sustainability activities and awareness of them on the campuses. We'll work for logistics for these. I will have a big part of connecting students to the opportunities. I will apply for grants and different recognitions for sites and for students. And this will be a district-wide position.
I make a motion to approve this in the hopes that we can expand this further or down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, trustee Lamb with the motion, trustees Lees Dwyer with the second, trustee Andrade Zuniga, how do you vote?
I will vote yes.
Trustee Land,
Yes.
trustee Lees Dwyer,
Yes.
trustee Hanley,
Yes.
I'll vote yes, and the N5 passes 5-0. N6, discuss, approve the job description for district wellness facilitator.
Yes, we've had an employee wellness program for about 10 years. It's gone through a lot of growth. We formerly had an employee wellness coordinator position for the program. We folded, when that position was abolished, we folded some of the duties into our benefits coordinator position. And this has worked to a degree, but we've really not been able to maintain the same level of activities and services that we've had before and that are desired by our employees. And at the same time, the benefits coordinator position, their duties have increased given our different commitments to our associations and the agreements we've made. So we feel that, a coordinator would be a big help in this area, not bring us back to where we were before, but we think it would be sufficient to increase what we're doing now and satisfy the needs of the district.
So
Yes, ma'am.
an existing employee would take on this additional work?
Yes, this would be similar to district, curriculum coordinators or the sustainability facilitator. There'd be another role.
Okay.
Trustee Andrade Zuniga.
I guess my question is, with the writing of the job descriptions, I know it says that in one section, it says that people have to perform the duties with or without reasonable accommodations, but then at the bottom of that, it says that they will be provided reasonable accommodations if necessary. So it's kind of confusing and it might deter people from wanting to apply. So that was a little weird. I don't know why it's written that way, or maybe we should, I don't know, like if it's possible to move that up, the whole, the section saying that reasonable accommodations can be provided. And then I think in all of these positions, I think it should be a criteria to, I know it says that, they'll have experience working with diverse communities and things like that, but I think that there needs to be a criteria of what that means, because anybody can say they worked anywhere, but how do we really, how do we know exactly like what that means and what we mean by that? Because our student body is so diverse. And so I want to make sure that we get the right people in place to be able to serve our students, equally. So I guess that's my suggestion.
If I can respond to respond to the last part, it's part of our interview process to talk about things like that. We ask the applicants, what is their experience, and we give them some hypotheticals and ask how they would, address a certain issue that has to do with diversity or inclusion or equity. We have many sample questions that are available to our different committees. It's a very big part of our decision making in terms of making a job offer. Part of the work we're doing now this year with the anti-racist work, but work we've done with equity inclusion throughout the years has certainly been part of our interview process, and the expectation that interview committees will address these issues and ensure that, like you said, people we offer jobs to are comfortable and want to and are good at working with our diverse communities, are inclusive in nature and are equity focused. Absolutely. So that's part of the interview process. In terms of the accommodations that I think that the paragraph you're referring to is a bit of legalese, but certainly you have to be, as long as you're able to do the job with or without accommodations, then if they're the pick of the committee, then they've met that qualifications. If they do need qualifications, reasonable accommodations will be provided to them through the interactive process. So I think, both things are valid.
Trustee Land, you have some question. You got a question?
Yeah, real simple. I thought we had a position that was a district wellness coordinator. Is it coordinator is different than facilitator? Is that the difference?
No, you're right. Well, we did have one for a number of years, and then the person we had took another job, and we did not fill it on purpose. We did not fill the position, and we transferred some of the duties to our benefits coordinator position, who it's now Megan Sartain, and it was Kathy Grandone at the time. And that's worked to, well, to the degree that they can, but they certainly need some help if we want a robust employee.
And that's why the stipend for the facilitator.
Yeah, this is one way to kind of make up the ground there. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay, I don't think we got, because I think we had a question before we got a motion in a second.
I'll make a motion to approve this.
Okay, we got Trustee Lamb with a motion.
Second.
Okay, Trustee Hanley with the second. Okay, Trustee Andrade Zuniga, how do you vote?
I'll vote yes.
Trustee Land?
Yes.
Trustee Lees Dwyer?
Yes.
Trustee Hanley?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes, and that will pass 5-0. We'll move to Q1, Resolution 21-2202.
So this is an item that Mr. Hawkins is prepared to lead, and then if he needs Tony Shea, maybe you could promote him. We are happy to spend as much or as little time on this as you would like. This is the numbers have been changed, but it's the same idea, which is that we reduce the tax rate for the public by lowering the interest costs of bonds that we have had. So we can discuss this as much as you want or answer questions. I know Mr. Shea has a presentation, but we don't have to do that unless you would like.
What's the pleasure of the board?
I think I don't personally need a presentation. I understand it.
Mm-hmm. Ditto.
Okay.
Mr. Shea, are you in another country?
Yes, but I'm actually flying back in about 7 hours to be in California for a few weeks. So
where is it? Where is it that you are?
Oh, I'm in Taiwan right now.
Ah.
You were in the same spot the last time you talked to us.
Yeah, I actually haven't been back
Holy smoke.
since COVID. So I'm coming back. I'm fully vaccinated finally. It took a while for Taiwan to get enough shots.
Wow.
So I'm fully vaccinated. So now I'm feeling good about flying back and saying hi to everybody.
You get the prize for the person who came the farthest for the meeting.
For the meeting. On that note, I'll make a motion to pass the resolution.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion by Trustee Land and a second by Trustee Lees Dwyer. I just got a couple of high-level questions. So the structure is such that we will pay for we'll pay the transaction cost and save the taxpayers money.
Yeah.
And everything will be in accordance with any guidance that's put down by the state in terms of commissions or cost. Okay. And is this likely to improve between now and the actual refunding, or is it just, we'll see?
That is a we will see. I think the savings are, they're very healthy right now. You're well above the 3 to 4% metric that we usually are saying is the generally accepted threshold for public agencies. So you're almost 7% present value savings right now. And your present value savings also does significantly exceed the negative arbitrage on the refunding escrow. So I think barring a pretty significant movement upward in interest rates, I think the community should be seeing some good savings on this refinancing.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions? Trustee Andrade Zuniga, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Trustee Land?
Yes.
Trustee Lees Dwyer?
Yes.
Trustee Hanley?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes, and that motion will pass 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Shea. Have safe travels.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
Have a good evening.
Okay, that gets us through R1. Student board member subcommittee report.
Thank you very much, Mr. Land and Ms. Andrade Zuniga and Ms. Aquino and I met, as well as Ms. Chalkley has worked hard on this issue. We've got a report for you here. We have some recommendations for the year in terms of goals. We welcome your thoughts on this. We've communicated with the activities directors and they're supportive of this direction. We'll start to work with them, and we think we can accomplish these things and with the goal of bringing more student voice in here. We're particularly interested, we've talked about student voice quite a bit, and one of the pieces that we'd like to suggest is two board study sessions during the year. One which would take place in October, where we would either virtually or in person have some students come and offer their thoughts about how the school year is going, have a report from, just a conversation with the board members. And then another where we talk about some of the equity work that we've done with the equity committee. So it would be more free flowing and, really have a chance for us to hear directly from students what they think. And I think that supplements some of the panorama results and some of the other places. We're really interested in getting the voice of students that might not necessarily come to a board meeting, whether those are English language learners, students with IEPs, a variety of different groups that perhaps aren't. And then also we see this as an opportunity to learn about, how government works, how the board works. What is the work that we do here? So I think it's a good opportunity for us to do this work, and I appreciate the conversations and the views of the board members as we go forward here. So,
any other comments?
Ms. Lees Dwyer has her hand up.
Yep.
I have a comment.
Yes, please.
Okay. I know that in the past, the government students have come to board meeting. It was kind of like a required thing. They had to sign in, or we had to sign that they were there or whatever. And it would seem, and that was like seniors, I would imagine. I think they're mostly seniors. And I think that was a good thing, actually. But I don't know how much they really would get out of it if they didn't have any real preparation for it. And so I know all these things on the list, but it would be good if, either the superintendent went and talked to the government classes before they came to us, so that they would know, kind of what it's like, what his job is like, what the district, give some kind of overview, kind of review the agenda. Here's what you're going to see. Here's what's going to happen, so that when they come to a meeting, it's interesting versus like, oh, here I am, I got to do this. And who knows what this is or what they're doing. So I would suggest that would be something that would it's not going to, it may increase participation, but it would really definitely increase the education of the students, particularly as they're seniors and leaving the district and going on to
amusing.
become adults.
It's amusing because we did talk about that in a different way, just to suggest that the superintendent go out and have lunch out there with government leadership, you know, in high schools. And so we kind of pushed him to do that. So yes, I'm on the same page. We're on the same
I would
page.
I would see it more as a class thing than a lunch thing, because lunch gets kind of chatty. But in a class, they're all there. You're going to have a bigger audience and you can have a bigger impact. And it would make more sense, I think, for him to go to the classes.
I like that. I think both are beneficial, but I think your suggestion is really good.
Yeah.
And that's what some of the students have said. They've actually said that they want the board to go to their classes.
I'd do it if they wanted to see what a board member looks like.
Government and just say hello.
My hand is just.
They've even asked if, you know, that we can, if we can get like on a Zoom or something with them, and you know, and just introduce ourselves and be like, I guess, more connected with them. But definitely we will rely on people that represent the different schools and the different, I guess, parts of our district to also identify students that would be good for this, that would be interested, that would be engaged, and that are just like leaders in their own communities. So yeah, so no, I hear you. And it's definitely important for them to understand what they're getting into. Definitely.
So we'll hear more about the upcoming study session then.
Right. And yeah, and I'll report in my weeklies about visits. As I mentioned, I'm keen to get out there and visit folks. And I'll also talk at the social studies department about possibilities of board members coming to classes or whatever.
That's a good idea.
Okay. It looks like we're at the end of the agenda, down to the point where it says requested board items. Apparently there's nothing requested because there's nothing on the list. So I don't know what happened to the list, but
I thought we had one.
We did the last time I looked. So maybe we can go back and check our records, and if there is something, we'll put it on.
We've been knocking those out pretty good, but the one that we haven't done, and maybe we'll get an update again, is this area right outside the Mustang room that was going to be our sort of memorial, not memorial, but sort of honoring place here. And we'll get that report to you very soon.
Well, I thought that was outside at one point also.
At one point it was,
in the
but
building, in the building. I think it's more sustainable.
Okay, so
wasn't there a special ed update we were going to have in the meeting?
Yeah,
we'll go back. Yeah, go back and check.
Yeah, let me go back and check.
Yeah.
I know we've gotten some done, but you're right.
Okay, well,
okay.
Seeing no other business, it's
9:49.
Yeah, it's
driving home.
Yeah.
Do you need a ride, Linda?
No, meeting.
I should come pick you up and take you home, Greg.
Good night.
Did you walk?
No, I drove.
Okay.
See ya.